Have you ever found yourself running? Running mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and even running physically from things in this life. This is No More Running, the podcast for women. Hello, I'm your host, Crystal Lloyd, and I've been known to run and still find myself running from the things in this life. Running from God, His calling, His purpose for my life, running from change that's within my control that needs to be made, or any type of change, running from hard or even good or even just simple little things in this life. And God said to me, Crystal, if you will stop running and surrender, there are things that we can accomplish together. Maybe you find yourself running as I have. I want you to know that you're not alone. Let's go from running to no more running together. Let's get started with prayer. Holy Spirit, we invite you to be a part of the podcast, the lessons, the life coaching, and the sharing of our stories. Let it be known today that you are God. God, help us to go from running in this life, from whatever it may be that we're running from running to no more running. In Jesus' name. Hello, runners. Welcome to No More Running. I'm your host, Crystal Lloyd, speaker, life coach, and mental health advocate for you. I am here today to empower you, to help you to go from running to no more running. And today it's all about our finances. And I have invited Angela Duncan, and she is the best. I mean, she's a best-selling author. Empower Your Money. She's a speaker, host of the top reviewed podcast, Top 5 internationally. And I'm so excited that she has agreed to be our guest today and to help me as a runner, and all of us as a runner in empowering our money today. And so, Angela, and you are from Miami, Florida, correct?
Yeah, I currently live in Miami, yes.
Oh, okay. I'm just thinking about your all's weather. It is cold here. I had to scrape my windshield this morning, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the cold. And I've got the sniffles, and so I want to be down near Miami. And my husband is a Miami Dolphins fan, so yeah. So he is, watching the football game last night. Oh, he had some words and some screams and some I'll just do my own thing, let him do his thing. But today I'm so excited that you have agreed to be here. And I'm just going to, basically get out of the way. I was excited when I saw just all about you and that we had similar backgrounds a little bit, so but I don't want to go into that. I want to step out of the way and give you the stage and just let you share your story, and then we'll go into empowering women with their finances. So.
Yeah. So my background is I am a survivor of childhood abuse and poverty. Grew up on Section 8 housing and welfare, moved around a lot, and so did not know anything about money. And I actually didn't grow up believing in God either, because for me, when as a child, I didn't have anyone else in my life to teach me that God was there. He was giving me the strength to endure what I was going through because He had a bigger plan for me. So when I was 18 years of age, I moved out of the house, and I knew that I wanted to learn about money. I always believed that if I could get away from or run away from poverty, that this money thing I needed to learn, and I needed to become a master and an expert at money. And so I went to college. I got my finance degree. I was a financial advisor with a group for a short period of time. And then I owned a top performing Remax office. I owned a top performing insurance office. And yes, today is finally getting to where I feel like I am no longer running, but now my opportunity to take all of those years of learning about money and investing in the different fields that I was in, I have an opportunity now to give back and to teach other women how to empower their finances and hopefully no woman will ever be in a situation that my mother was as I was growing up as a child, because she didn't have financial education. She felt stuck. She didn't have a way out of that situation in her mind because she just didn't know money and she didn't know how to make money. And so she stayed for much longer than she should have in that relationship.
Mm, wow. You have accomplished a lot. That is awesome. That is great. And just overcome so much in your life. And I mean, wow. I remember living in, and we would call it, um, for us here in Tennessee, the projects. And so I
Mhm.
remember living in the projects, and oh my goodness, just growing up it's fight or I mean, you had to survive, and that's how you did it. You made sure to hold your own as much as you could, and so I was kind of a shy kid, and so it was hard for me to live in those projects. But I'm so thankful that God had His hand on me the whole time, and it sounds like He had you set apart, Angela, and had His hand on you as well. And look, I mean, you have not let your past or your childhood now I have my healing has come just over years and years and years, and in the last few years, I'm in my 40s now. And
Mhm.
so it's been a long time healing. And for you, how did your healing come with your past and your childhood? And then how did your relationship with the Lord? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I think, early on as a teenager, you have a decision, right? The choice is yours. Do you want to become another statistic and continue the same cycle of what you grew up in, and have a family someday and continue to live in that poverty mindset and to live in actual poverty? When I had my daughter, I was 25 at the time, and we lived in a neighborhood that Domino's Pizza wouldn't even deliver to. So it was at that moment when she was born that I decided, like, I don't want this life for her. I don't want her to have to go through what I did as a child. It was very tough, as being a
Yes.
shy kid is probably a good thing, because then we didn't get more involved in things that we shouldn't have been getting involved in. So maybe that was a strength that we had early on. But for me, I wanted to make a decision. I did not want to live in poverty anymore. I did not want to be scared of my neighborhood. I didn't want my daughter to be scared. And so that pursuit of just education was so important to me, learning different aspects. And for me, it's been about real estate investing, and it's really been about investing in the stock market. So much of that, I wanted to make sure that I did my best to have my best education so that I can teach her and show her a better life. And, my journey with church and with God didn't come until much later in life. I mean, I'm 45 now, and I was saved 7 years ago. And I give the credit to my daughter. I feel like God wasn't able to reach me. He probably wanted me to get back, go to church and to learn more about the Bible and become a Christian woman. But I wasn't ready for it. And it wasn't until, again, my daughter said, I've got questions about God. She started asking me about the Bible and about heaven. We had lost some family members, and so it just doesn't make sense to a child, right? And I kept telling her, I know nothing. You need to go ask your grandma, because my ex-husband, his mom knew. She was a very church-loving woman, and she had read the Bible and grew up in, Bible school and could recite verses. And so when my daughter started asking me questions about God, I referred her over to Grammy because I didn't know anything. And so it wasn't, my daughter kept asking, like, I think we need to go to church, Mom. I think we should go to church as a family. And so I went online and I found what I thought was the least churchiest church I could find. It was a church, it was in a movie theater, and they were doing at the movies. Well, I didn't know, watching movies and watching TV, there's so many references, so many biblical references, and so much we watch. But unless you know God and know the Bible, you don't catch it, right? And
Yeah.
so there were a couple movies, and I thought, okay, this should be easy. We're going to go to church. We're going to watch some movies. She'll be happy. I can make it through church watching a movie, and everyone will be happy. Um, but what I found is, like, every time I would go to church, I felt like Pastor Aaron was talking just to me. Everything he talked about just hit home. And I would just like cry for hours during church, after church. And I just got so emotional. And so, I joined a church group and some amazing ladies, and they really helped me understand that, what I went through wasn't that God forgot about me at all. And it wasn't that he wasn't there. It was, he was giving me that strength because I couldn't stop, or he couldn't stop what was going on in my environment. When they say the devil catches hold of people and he can't rescue everyone, then that really exists because the devil can be really strong at times. And so God wasn't able to change my abuser, but he could give me the strength to get through what I needed to get through because he knew he's going to have a bigger plan for me. And so I am living proof that you really can make a decision. You can find yourself and go to church, even though you didn't grow up in church. And you really can go down this money journey and become successful. But it's got to take action, and you have to put in the work. You have to want it enough, and you have to seek it and get information and find great mentors. But it's available if you want to take the action and make that choice.
I love that. I love that. And I think about when you're telling your story, I'm thinking God placed your daughter in your life to help you to stop running,
Mhm.
and then the things in your life may cause you to run from the Lord.
Mhm.
But here is your sweet little daughter and asking questions about God.
Mhm.
And God knew the whole time what he was doing because he
Yeah.
planted those thoughts in your daughter's mind. And I'm not sure how old she was. I mean, it don't even matter how old she was, but the Lord knew what he was doing. And I love that. And then we in my hometown, it's about 30 minutes away from where we live now, but there is a movie theater church. Several of my friends go there, and then me and my husband was in the ministry, so my husband knows the pastor, and so it's so neat to hear that. And at first, I believe when they first came to town, it was like a
Yeah.
church in a movie theater, really. And God can use any place,
Mhm.
um, anybody to put a stop to our running. And so I love your story. I love that. Let's take a quick break. I'm excited to tell you that I'm offering life coaching. If you're interested in coaching with me or want to learn more, run on over to my website, crystallloyd.com. That's Crystal with a C and Lloyd with one L. And sign up for a free 20-minute coaching session with me. Also, don't forget to join my email list. You can email me info@crystallloyd.com. Can't wait to help you to go from running to no more running.
I've given my life to Jesus, and I do keep that when I run my companies too. The way that I approach things, I'm a very heart-centered person. And so I do believe that that comes from my Christianity. When you do things from the heart and you teach people from the heart, they're more receptive and they understand that you're in a good place. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to teach.
Right.
And money can
Yes.
be a scary topic. I understand that, but the Bible has so many references about money and abundance. And as long as we take care of and we become stewards of the money that's provided to us, and we do good with it, then it's not a bad thing. It's just a tool. And understanding that money is a tool in your toolbox that you're going to use to better your life, to better the lives around you, to give back to the church. Church doesn't run without money. And so understanding that it's not a bad thing, it's just something that we have to learn how to use.
Yes, I agree. I love that. I do agree. And I will tell you, recently, and I shared this with you, that back in September, I left my banking job of 12 years. And now we're down to one income. And well, I make, and I don't care to share, I've had little and I've had a little bit more, not so much, much, but I mean, $100 a week, and I keep my grandbaby. And then and my daughter is pregnant again, and
Mhm.
so we have a granddaughter on the way, and so and that was my main focus of leaving the bank, and then also pursuing what God is calling me to do here in the podcast and to help women
Mhm.
to go from running, because that is that's who I was or am, sometimes is just running from God and running from his calling and things in our lives. And we realize now that we wasted so much money. When we had that extra income, what we would say extra income, but
Mhm.
it wasn't. It was just income, to live on. But we realize now it's like, we could have done so much more with my income or his income and paid off, debt. The only debt that we have is our mortgage, and I'm thinking, why did we not manage better to and we could have our mortgage paid off? So it's like, oh, if I could go back and just redo, I would so do that. But so here I am, Angela. I am so nervous because I'm in the 12 years we had that stable income. I knew every 2 weeks, that the money's gonna be there, and so here I'm just, like, living on faith. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, Lord, okay, I've got to, what do I do?" And yet still be where God wants me to be, and it's okay, and I want runners to know that it's okay as a woman that you make that not the top priority in your life, but a priority in your life to empower your money like your book. And I I loved your book. I've got it on my Kindle. I downloaded it and I have read it, and I wanted to share with you what I've learned and what we have put in place since reading your book. So
Awesome.
um but, okay. So me and my husband has adopted the no spend days. So we have 2 days in a week that we do not spend. And, oh, I love a good healthy competition, you know? And so I'm like, "Did you spend today? Did you?" How's your spending going? And yeah, so of course I'm all about winning. And so I'm like, I won today or I'm winning this week or, whatever. So I'm excited about that no spend days. And then I had talked to my son, my young adult son, and I'm like, pick you two no spend days. You could save some money. And
Mhm.
then not eating out so much, taking your
Yes.
lunch.
Yes.
And I just love you've got to get her book, okay? You've got to get, Empower Your Money by Angela Duggan. So and we'll share, and I will share links and all of that, um, within the show notes of where you can get your money, Angela, or your book. Yeah, your money. Empower Your Money. So and then, I was like, the house swapping, vacations. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to come to Miami. And if you want to come to East Tennessee, Dollywood is right over here. So, hey, let's do some house swapping. So I thought that was a neat idea. And then, I'm looking into the apps that pay online surveys.
Mhm.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit more too, what's in the book and let's talk about the book. And so
Yeah.
I was excited to, get and to do some of these things. So
Yeah, and thank you for that. I really appreciate it because, sometimes you put effort into something and you don't always know what the impact is because you don't get to see it, you don't get to witness it, but you know that you're hopefully on that right path. So the purpose behind the book, Empower Your Money, there's lots of money books, there's lots of budgets, there's lots of investing books, but they can be very complicated to someone who hasn't started on their financial journey. So what I wanted to do was to provide you with 101 just easy implementable tips that you can take action on today. I don't want to make it complicated. I'm not going to use big words. You don't need a dictionary to read my book, but I wanted to challenge you and just have some action items that you can do right now. And really to pique your curiosity too, because maybe there might be a term in there like the Augusta rule. You might not know what that is, but at least you're going to take some time now to go do some research and figure out, is this something that I can do in my life? And so I love that you did some of the topics in there. I'm all about creating more income, and what I love about your story too is now you're really paying attention to your expenses. You understand, what do I really need and what makes me happy. And sometimes it could be, like for example, I love shoes. I don't know if it's because I never really got shoes as a kid growing up, and now that I can afford to pay it, but it's part of my budget. So I don't go overboard with it, and I allow myself grace to spend money on something that I enjoy. but I don't need like fancy purses, or I'm pretty frugal when it comes to my vacations. So that's why the house swapping is in there, because I came across that idea and I thought I had to share that, where you swap
Yeah.
houses instead of paying for hotels or, things like that. But just finding different ways to live in abundance without having to spend a ton of money, without having to earn a ton of money, just paying attention to those expenses and not being afraid to have conversations. If you are married, have conversations with your spouse and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? Or how do we implement this? Or what's important to you, so that you guys can be on this financial journey together. So, and what I really loved about the book afterwards is that's where that aha moment came from. Like, I want to teach women to have control of their money, to have conversations about money, so that they don't feel powerless. And this is just an easy way for you to be able to learn about some new items or some new things that you can do in your life. And yes, you mentioned it is on Amazon. It's on Kindle right now. And for the month of January, you can download it for free. All I ask in return is that you leave a 5-star review, but I want to at least get you started on your financial journey. If that's a New Year's resolution for you, then let me help you get there quicker.
That I, I love it. I love everything Angela Duncan and Empower Your Money. And not just that, don't forget, the podcast is Empower Her Money. I like that. And then also on Instagram, follow her on Instagram, Empower Her Money as well. And so I've been watching your videos and trying to learn. And I love that the book even it says some do's and some don'ts. And so like, or never, never do this or never, and so I love that. And I read that and I was like, okay, yeah, this is so good that I can just, put that into my life, into my finances. And then I don't know about you, but I wanted to tell you about this too, but I don't know about you, but my mindset about money growing up poor,
Mhm.
it's hard to overcome that the Lord would bless me in my finances. Or and I had a friend that posted something that I wanted to share, and she had a picture of herself, and she's so beautiful. And on the picture, it said, "In 2024, I will be rich." And I love that. I was like, I commented it and I said, I love that mindset. I love that. And that's the way to think about um but we don't we don't think that even God that you know, I mean for me, it's like, well, I don't know if God wants me to be rich, but maybe just enough um, to survive on. But it's that mindset of how I grew up. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Angela, but when they had the food stamps and it was the stamps, and we would count out, my mom would count out the
Mhm.
stamps, and she would say, this is for this, and this is for this week or that week. And I remember watching her, and basically she was teaching me to budget even then, and she didn't even know it, but I remember that, and then I remember just not having a lot, and so now it is hard for me to I can spend on my husband and on my children and especially my grandbaby. I mean, just wait, Angela. Spend, spend. But then when it comes to myself and me, it's that mindset that I'm like, "Oh, I don't need it. I'll do without. I'd rather they have it." But I loved her mindset. I will be rich. I love that. I
Yeah.
mean, why not? God doesn't say, "No, you can't be rich." It's all about how you manage that money. And working in the banking, I have seen little and I have seen much. And you would think, "Okay, well, this person has no money." But then you're like, "Whoa." You know,
Mhm.
it's all about how you manage and maybe their mindset. What do you I wanna talk a little bit more about mindset, Angela, too, and just give us all your wisdom, pour out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We're taught from a very early age about what money is. And, most parents will teach you that it doesn't grow on trees, or you don't need that, or we don't have enough money. So that mindset is something that you're going to work on for the rest of your life. It's never going to go away. There's no easy way to turn it off. I've done like hypnotherapy and other ways to see if, if something else would work for me, but it's always going to be there. And so I know that that's my natural tendency to just think about money in that perspective. But then I recognize it. And then I remind myself about what the truth is. I mean, I live here in Miami. We live in the US, right? So I can go to a gas station to get gas. If I want water, I just turn on a faucet. If I have a roof over my head, I have a car that takes me to and from. So just being grateful for just those little tiny things can change your mindset. During Christmas, I think the church really hits home about, having gratitude. And I love that story because having gratitude for just the basic things that we have in our life that we just take for granted because it's here every day. But, I interviewed this woman recently who grew up in Africa, and she talked about how she had to walk 5 miles with pails just to get water because they didn't have water at their little house, if you would call it that. And
Wow.
I couldn't imagine, I thought I lived in poverty, but that's such a different level. And
Yes.
so I had so much abundance as a child, even though I thought I lived in poverty. So when you really think about it and put it in perspective about what you have, what's available to you, and where the rest of this world lives, I mean, everybody's rich in some capacity. If we live in the US, you have abundance. It may not feel like it may not seem like it when you compare it to other people in the US, but if you're living here, you already have a life of abundance. So start with gratitude with that mindset and just be appreciative of all those little things that you have around you first. And know that it is going to be a work in progress, and there you're going to have your down days. I still have my negative days. It's probably recent where I'm doing the podcast and wondering if I'm really truly impacting people like I want to, but you just don't know. So I just have to believe that God has this path for me. And when I'm grateful, I've got a voice, I've got a camera, I've got a laptop, so I have the ability to share these stories to
Yes.
help empower people, to teach them about money. Then I need to learn to be grateful for those things that are in my life.
Yeah. Angela, and I will tell you that the Lord has already used you to help me just stop and think
Mm,
about a little bit more about my money, and then having, just down to one income basically, to just, really look at my finances and say, okay, okay, we got to be a little bit more careful, but we can also do these things to help us as well. And I mean, I do believe that the Lord is using you. So don't you doubt that at all. So, uh,
thank you.
and I am so thankful and that the Lord just brought our paths together. I just believe that the Lord does things for a reason, and sometimes we may never even really understand it. And maybe it's just for this time, this moment, this podcast. But who knows? I mean, you never know what the Lord may do through our relationship, our friendship.
Yeah.
and
And one
and
thing you had mentioned too is the end of my book, the Empower Your Money book. I did want to put some no's, like things not to do with your money, but it's very indicative of my personality because I feel like if you're sad about a budget or you're scared about your expenses, I want to have some fun too. And so like for example, the end of my day, I have a very routine day most of the time. But at the end of the day, I turn on YouTube, which is free. I don't pay for the premium. I don't have Netflix. I don't have any of those apps at all.
oh,
But I go on
wow.
YouTube and I watch like Impractical Jokers or Kevin Hart or Ridiculousness. It's like clips that are free on TV, but I love the humor and it helps just have fun in life too. Money doesn't have to be a scary thing. You can have some fun with it. If you have like a craft or a skill, many people don't think that they have skills, but we all have gifts. God gave us gifts. And so you just have to determine what it is. And then how do you share it with people that are going to pay for that gift?
Yes.
I don't bake, I don't cook. So during the holiday seasons or birthdays, I love going on Facebook groups and buying handmade baskets or food or cookies, whatever someone is doing, because that's not my talent. But I'm going to pay them for their talent so that I can go and brighten someone else's day. It's not a bad thing to earn money, but have some fun with it too. Enjoy what you're doing, because otherwise it's so hard to not spend money or to look at your expenses or to have a budget when you feel like you're not having fun with it. So that's, the reason for the end of the book is to have some fun with money too, and not always be so serious.
Yes, I love it. I'm so excited. I'm like, that is staying on my Kindle, and I'm going to go back to it so much. So I'm excited about that. But before we run out of time, I want you to share again. Tell everybody, what you offer. I know that. Do you have any trainings coming up, or coaching, or where can we find you again? And then your book as well. So let me give you the stage again for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Empower Her Money's on Instagram, LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I am on TikTok. I actually just rolled out, and I'm going to start promoting this. It's a 31-day journal with ways for you to set your goals, have gratitude, but also, of course, and putting biblical verses in it so that you can see that the Bible does talk about money, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. So I'm rolling that out, but yeah, definitely check out Empower Your Money book. It's free on Kindle. Right now, I'm taking a little time off from coaching. I've been really busy just reaching more people with Empower Her Money podcast, doing some speaking, and just finding different platforms to be able to reach more women, to teach them about money, and to hopefully change just generational wealth by empowering them to take control of their finances.
I love it. I love it. I will be following you. I will be like that, hopefully healthy stalker, just like watching you and like, okay,
Share the
what?
message.
Yeah. Like, I can't wait. What's next coming out for Angela? So I can't wait for that 30-day. Did you say it's a challenge, or is it
It's a printed hard copy journals, and it's full color with quotes and ideas for you and your money. So I'm rolling that out in January, and I hope to just continue to impact other people.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see that and to get that and to, just grow in finances. And, maybe down the road, we can come back together and I can be like, hey, I have, my finances has grown and I'm so excited and hear, how God has used you and, how God is just changing runners' lives as well. So we would love to hear from you. And you can contact Angela at info@empowerhermoney.com. Is that correct,
Yes,
Angela?
my email is info@empowerhermoney.com.
And let her know that, hey, I listened to No More Running and I'm excited about, what's coming new for her and as well. And then you can also contact me at info@crystallloyd.com. And hey, if you need me to connect you with Angela, I can be that bridge. I can bridge that gap, So, but I'm excited and thank you so much for just just the accepting the invitation and helping us, me included, runners, empower our money. And I'm excited, and I just pray many blessings and the favor of God upon your podcast and your speaking, and you know what? I just pray blessings as well, and and God's favor with your family and your daughter and all that good stuff. So thank you, Angela, and I appreciate all the wisdom that you have poured into us today, and I can't wait to get a hold of more wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thank you.